Hi, I'm Mark from Sounds in Sync, the developer of EdiLoad. In this video, I'm going to run through everything you need to know about assembling your location WAV files with the EdiLoad version 5 assembly window. I'll demonstrate how to assemble all the channels of your location WAV files to match the audio clips in the picture edit, as well as show you how to assemble your location WAV files to create a timeline containing the sync sound for each shot in your picture edit list. I'll show how to export an assembly as a PTX file that can be opened in Pro Tools and an AAF file that can be opened in any AAF compatible digital audio workstation. But first up, you might be asking, why do I need to assemble my location WAV files when I can simply use the AEF the picture editor sent me? Here are a few reasons why you might consider assembling your WAVs. By creating your own assembly, you'll be assured that all channels that were recorded on location will be available in the timeline for editing. You will have access to the full length of each WAV file. You'll know that the WAV metadata provided will be what the sound recordist said. You'll be able to ignore all channels that do not contain any audio. You'll be able to select a channel and track layout of your choice. And you'll be able to customize the names of the exported clips. Hence, an assembly may provide you with audio or data that is not available in the AEF, and it may also export the clips in a way that streamlines your dialogue edit. To familiarize yourself with the way the EdiLoad assembly window works, I'll first perform an audio list assembly for this feature film that contains 3 long reels. Here I have a clean edit list that contains events that relate to just the location WAV files. And here I have a folder that contains all the DAV folders from the location sound recordist. Now I'll open the EdiLoad assembly window by clicking the Assemble WAVs toolbar button, or you can press Command 3 on Mac or Control 3 on Windows. If the main window contains an edit list, this will automatically be loaded into the top list. Click Get Events or press Command G on Mac or Control G on Windows to reload the events from the main window. Load the location WAV file parent folder by clicking the Load WAVs button, or by pressing Command O on Mac or Control O on Windows, or here I'll simply drag and drop the parent folder alias onto the assembly window. The WAV files being loaded here are polywavs. If you wish to export an AEF from this window, you'll need to split any polywavs into mono before loading. Once the WAVs are loaded, a database file is stored by default in the parent folder to save EdiLoad scanning all files during subsequent loads. Click the Display Options button to select which columns are displayed in each list. Here are the assembly settings. With these set to their default settings, I simply click Match WAVs, or you can press Command M on Mac or Control M on Windows. This links each edit list event to its source polywav. Notice each event here has matched to a single WAV file. I can now click Export PTX or press Command E on Mac or Control E on Windows to export a Pro Tools session file. Set the session properties and the parent folder name and location. Opening the session created in Pro Tools, you can see each mono audio track contains clips that link directly to each channel of a polywav, ready for dialogue editing. Zooming out and adjusting the height of the tracks, you can see the full assembly of this 3-reel feature film. To export an AEF file from the assembly window, we need to load a copy of the polywavs that have been split into mono. Notice, as this folder has been loaded before, EdiLoad simply loads the database file it created previously. Clicking Match WAVs this time, you see multiple WAV files are matched to each event, one for each channel. Now I can click Export AEF or press Command-Shift-E on Mac or Control-Shift-E on Windows. Set the AEF properties and the parent folder name and location. Now I'll open the AEF in Nuendo, or this could be any digital audio workstation that can open an AEF. I'm speeding up the video here while this AEF is imported. You can see here that EdiLoad has created this assembly with the same track layout as the Pro Tools PTX export, ready for dialogue editing. Now that you've seen how quickly EdiLoad can perform an assembly, Let's have a look at what files EdiLoad requires. For starters, you'll need an edit list from your picture editor. See the EdiLoad help menu to save the EdiLoad file spec PDF. Send this to your editor so they know which type of file to provide, along with the settings to use during export. AAF and XML files are recommended over EDL files because AAFs and XMLs contain scene and take number fields, and also store the frame rate of each source clip. This is required when your location WAV files contain a variety of frame rates. Secondly, you'll need all the location WAV files that were created by the sound recordist. Generally, the data that you receive in the edit list should match to the location WAV files. This is if the location recordist recorded the WAV files with the required metadata, and the picture department ingested, edited, and exported the edit list in a way that retains this data. For example, looking at the assembly I just showed you, you can see this event contains a file name, role name, and scene and take number. Here, EdiLoad has matched this WAV file using the file name, but it could also match using the role name or scene and take number. Your edit list will require one of these fields in order to link each event to one or more WAV files, along with the source timecodes that relate to the location WAV file timestamps. Any edit list you receive from your picture editor will need to be cleaned or possibly appended with additional lists before you can perform an assembly. If you have received more than one list for the same project, for example a separate list for each reel of a feature film, it can be helpful to combine these lists to speed up the cleaning and assembly process. See the main EdiLoad version 5 introduction video for more information on how to load and append the different types of edit lists that EdiLoad can import. Here I'll simply load the Reel 1 AEF of this 3-reel feature film, loading all audio tracks. Then I simply drag and drop the Reel 2 AEF to append it, and EdiLoad will load this with the same settings as the first AEF. Then I do the same with the Reel 3 AEF. Now I'll remove all events that don't relate to location WAV files. The simplest way to do this is to select all non-location role names in the Filter by Role list. I'm speeding up the video here while I select and delete each range that is not required in the list. This removes all events that relate to temp music, effects, and ADR. Now check the List Clean field. When it displays No, the edit list either contains duplicate events on multiple tracks, like these 3 events here, or the list contains events on tracks that can be rippled down to a lower track. If you don't clean the list, the assembly will export duplicate sets of clips, as each event in this list will link to all channels in a WAV file, and the export will most likely contain more tracks than is required. Click Clean Events, or select the first list menu item to clean the list. Here EdiLoad has removed all duplicate events and reduced the 24 tracks down to 5. The List Clean field now displays Yes. I can now open the assembly window, load the location WAV files, and click Match WAVs to check the edit list data is correct and all events match to the required WAV files. Here I can see there are 2 events with no matches, which are not required. See the main EdiLoad version 5 introduction video for more information on how to modify edit list data if it doesn't match your location WAV files. Now that you know how to prepare an edit list for assembly, let's have a look at the assembly settings, including how to set the match criteria. Here I have loaded the location events and WAV files for a single scene so we can run through the assembly settings. The top section of the first tab contains the match criteria. The tokens in this field can be deleted, reordered, or new options added from the second row. These match criteria options instruct EdiLoad which edit list fields are to be matched with which WAV file fields. This diagram from the EdiLoad user guide illustrates which fields each match criteria option links to. When the Match WAVs toolbar button is clicked, EdiLoad will attempt to match each edit list event with one or more WAV files using each match criteria option in turn. If no match is found with an option, the next option is checked until all options have been used. In this example, the default setting, EdiLoad will attempt to match each event to a WAV file name, a WAV sound role, a WAV folder name, a WAV scene and take number, and then just a WAV scene number. Once one or more WAV files have been matched to an event with any option, EdiLoad moves to the next event. To match the events to the WAV files by timecodes only, remove all the match criteria options or click Match TC Only. I'll set this up with the default settings again and close the settings window. The columns in the edit list and WAV file list with blue text show which fields are currently set up in the match criteria field. To demonstrate how the match criteria settings work, I'll click Match WAVs with the default settings. When I click on one of the events, you can see the WAV file name field is green in the single WAV file that was matched, indicating this field was used to link the two. This is because file name is the first option in the match criteria field. If I delete all options and just drop sound role into the field, when I clear the current matches and click Match WAVs again, you can see the sound role field was used to match. The same goes if I just select Scene and Take. Clear Matched and Rematch. The scene number and take number fields are now used. If the sound role name of the location WAV files do not match the role name of the edit list events, but the role names are unique for each shoot day, it may be possible to have EdiLoad link the edit list role names to the shoot day folder name. Simply rename the folder containing the WAV files for each day with the name shown in the role name field. Here I rename this folder to Day 10 and reload the location WAV files. As we change the name of the shoot day folder, EdiLoad rebuilds the database file. Now set up the match criteria field to match by folder name. Click Match WAVs, and you see EdiLoad has matched each edit list role name to the WAV file parent folder name, ignoring the sound role name of each WAV file. If the edit list fields do not match any of the WAV file names or metadata, it is possible to match by timecode only. To do this, click Match TC Only to remove all match criteria options and click Match WAVs. As this edit list contains the events for a single scene, and I have only loaded the WAV files for this scene, matching by timecode only works perfectly well. However, for most assemblies this will match to WAV files from multiple shoot days, and therefore EdiLoad will export a lot of clips that are not valid. In this situation, it still may be quicker to delete unwanted clips in your DAW timeline than find location WAV files manually. Coming back to the assembly settings, the lower portion of this tab allows you to select which timestamp to prioritize while finding a match. It also provides the option to set a virtual timestamp at midnight. This can be used when the picture edit system, for whatever reason, did not load the timestamp of the location audio files and set them all with a timestamp of midnight. Once the picture edit is complete, the audio edit list will therefore contain source time codes, usually within a few minutes of midnight and up to the length of the WAV file. By using the virtual timestamp option, EdiLoad reads the timestamps of the WAV files the same way the picture edit system did, and so the source time codes in the edit list will link to the WAV files. Please note that you need to set the match criteria to link by file name for this feature to work. The Match Criteria 2 tab provides two settings. The first can restrict what files are matched by their name, while the second setting, when checked, will only match the channels of the WAV files that contain audio. EdiLoad will flag a WAV channel as containing audio if it finds audio at any point in the WAV file while loading it. See the Has Audio column in the WAV file list to see which channels EdiLoad has flagged as containing audio. If all WAV files contain audio in all channels, the Audio In label displays all channels. If one or more WAV files contain a mute channel, this label will display some channels to prompt you to consider using this setting to only export channels that contain audio. The controls on the Source Rounding tab can be used to compensate for subframe sync errors caused by picture edit systems when they move the start time of WAV files that don't start on a frame edge to a frame edge. If you find that the mixed channels of an assembly are up to one frame out of sync with the guide track, Check the timestamps of the location WAV files to see if they start on a frame edge by checking each subframe value. In this example, none of the WAV files start on an exact frame, so it's more than likely that the picture edit system has rounded these to start on a frame edge during the edit, causing the sync issue. By setting the source rounding controls to adjust all clips, rounding them up or down to the closest timeline frame edge, EdiLoad can export this assembly with the mixed channel clips in phase with the guide track. Please note that this feature will not resolve all subframe sync errors that you may encounter, as these can be caused at different points in the production and post-production process. The next Assembly Settings tab sets the track layout. This selection not only sets the order in which the WAV channels appear down the mono tracks in the export, but it also sets how the channels are grouped and therefore sets the number of tracks created. I'll select the first condense setting, which sorts the clips by channel number. This default setting creates the least number of tracks. I'm also ignoring some specific channel names here to clearly demonstrate the above setting. The loaded edit list contains events on A1 and A2. I'll export a PTX file, setting the name and location. Opening the file in Pro Tools, we see the clips of the A1 edit list track for each channel, sorted by the channel number, and then the clips for the A2 edit list track for each channel. Now I'll select the last track layout option that sorts the clips by channel name and then the edit list track. Exporting a PTX file with this setting and opening it up in Pro Tools, we can see that EdiLoad has exported the boom channels first for A1 and A2, then the channels for the first radio mic, and then the channels for the second radio mic. This setting will create a lot more tracks in any assembly, but it may streamline the edit by having all the same microphone or character clips grouped together on adjacent tracks. Coming back to the settings window, the last two tabs simply allow you to set up the contents of the track name, track comment for PTX files only, and the clip names. A sync sound assembly is helpful for dialogue editors to edit production dialogue or ADR when the picture editor has removed the sync sound for on-screen dialogue, usually when an alternate take has been selected. To save requesting the sync sound for every shot from the picture department, EdiLoad may be able to create a sync sound assembly depending on the data available in the edit list. To demonstrate, here I have loaded the video edits from the same 3-reel feature film. This list was sourced from a set of EDL files, so it doesn't contain the scene and take number. I've intentionally removed the role names here so they can be updated later. Using the Extract Scene and Take Numbers window, I use the following settings to populate the scene number and take number columns. It may be necessary to extract these numbers using the column transfer window, even extracting a range of events with different settings, depending on the clip names in your edit list. I'll also, with the Find field, remove all MOS and variable speed events that contain FPS in their clip names, as I know these shots don't have any sync sound for them. In the assembly window, I load the poly WAV files and set the default match criteria. When I click Match WAVs, EdiLoad matches 1097 of 1135 events. As this edit list does not contain any role names or file names, EdiLoad has matched these events to the WAV files using either the scene and take number or just the scene number. For the rest of the unmatched events, we can try matching by timecode only. Do this by clicking Match TC Only and click Match WAVs to match all events that currently do not have a match. Now 1117 of 1135 events, an additional 20 events have been matched. Sorting the list by the number of matched column, we can see the events that do not match to any WAV files. I'll select these and delete them. Clicking the number of matched column header again, you can see 9 events that were matched by timecode only and have multiple matches. Here I can go through each event and either delete events that do not have a valid match, or delete the matching WAVs for an event that shouldn't be matched. Alternatively, You can drag and drop the required WAV onto the edit list event to populate the empty fields with the data in the WAV file. To rematch these particular events, I'll set up the default match criteria and match again. Now these events that had multiple matches are matched by the file name in the edit list. This sync sound assembly is now ready to be exported. However, in case you want to save this edit list, before you export, you can populate the empty fields of all events using the data from the matched WAV files by pressing Command U on Mac or Control U on Windows. You can then click Save Events and select Save All. If you click Match WAVs and you find one or more events don't have a matching WAV file, here's a few things to check. Make sure the timeline timecode rate selection is valid if more than one option is provided. Check to see if the edit list role name, file name and scene and take number fields can be updated to match your WAV file names or metadata. Double-click an edit list event to see if EdiLoad has found a match using the match criteria setting but hasn't found a WAV that matches by timecode. If WAV files are shown all with red timecodes, then there is an issue where the edit list timecodes don't relate to the WAV file timestamps. And lastly, check you have all the location WAV files that were recorded. If you are missing some, you can save the unmatched events to an edit list and use this to assemble the missing WAV files when you receive them. In the meantime, you can start editing the WAV files that have been assembled. See the EdiLoad user guide Assembling Location Audio No Matches section for more information. If you require assistance, please click Save Support while your edit list and location WAV files are loaded. Enter the details requested and, if possible, include any example files or screenshots to help us locate the issue. Click Create Zip and send us the file that is saved to the desktop via the Sounds and Sync website support page. After clicking Match WAVs, check all edit list events that relate to location footage are matched to one or more WAV files. If the edit list has matched WAV files with various sample rates, select which events to export from the Export Sample Rate menu. Click either the Export PTX or Export AEF toolbar button and set the properties of the file. For PTX file exports, you can also set the color of the exported clips by the name of each clip. By default, clips containing MOS will be red and clips containing FPS will be orange. When the Set Clip Mute State control is checked, all events that contain mute in the info column of the edit list will create mute clips in the exported PTX file. This provides a way to leave events that were loaded from mute clips in an AF or XML file as muted in the exported assembly PTX file. This concludes the demonstration of how to assemble your location WAV files with the EdiLoad version 5 assembly window. For more information, see the EdiLoad user guide in the Help menu. Thanks to all EdiLoad users who provided feature requests and valuable feedback over the years. I trust this update will help to keep your Soundpost project on schedule. To try EdiLoad for yourself, either on Mac OS or Windows, just head to the download page of the website. Once the app is installed, just run it and click Try to activate a trial license.